which time I shall be gone, and you shall be dead.
Tom Riddle, or Lord Voldemort, is one of the most fascinating and complicated characters in the Harry Potter series. Voldemort is considered the most evil, powerful, and dangerous dark wizard of all time. He was among the greatest wizards to have ever lived. This was mostly due to him pushing the boundaries of magic by creating Horcruxes, splitting his soul, practicing dark arts, and performing the act of killing, which is the subject of today's video. How many people did Voldemort kill, directly and indirectly? Why did he kill them? And who were they? The very first murder Tom Riddle committed was Billy Stab's rabbit. Tom Riddle's years at the orphanage was a nightmare to the others. He could move objects, speak to animals, and use his magic to harm other orphans. After getting into a fight with fellow orphan Billy Stubbs, he used his powers to hang the boy's rabbit from the rafters. Moaning Myrtle. Tom was able to open the chamber Slytherin had left behind in order to purge the school of all those who were unworthy to study magic. The monster Basilisk endured many at Hogwarts, with its last victim being a student named Myrtle Warren, who was killed in the girls' bathroom when she saw the Basilisk's yellow eyes. The death wasn't performed by Tom Riddle himself, but he was the one who indirectly caused it. The Riddle family. When Tom Riddle returned to Little Hangleton to seek out his family, he was informed by his uncle Morphin of the location of the Riddle family. Tom stunned Morphin and took his wand, went over to the Riddle house, and using his uncle's wand, murdered his father, grandfather, and grandmother with the killing curse, and causing Morphin to believe that he was the killer by alerting his memory. Albanian Peasant. Shortly before leaving Hogwarts, Riddle charmed Helena Ravenclaw, the daughter of Rowena Ravenclaw, into telling him the location of her mother's diadem, which he revealed as a hollow 3 deep within a far-flung forest in Albania. Tom immediately traveled there at her instruction. Tom murdered an unknown Albanian peasant along the way before retrieving the diadem, which he later preserved a third part of his soul, waiting to make his third Horcrux, using the death of the Albanian muggle. Hepzibah Smith and a Muggle Tramp. While working at Bergen & Berks after Hogwarts, Tom befriended Hepzibah Smith, a wealthy but elderly descendant of Helga Hufflepuff. Hepzibah once showed Riddle her 2 priceless objects, Slytherin's locket and Hufflepuff's cup. Seeing the locket to be rightfully his as Slytherin's heir and the cup as a reminder of Hogwarts, Tom murdered Hepzibah by using a little-known poison to steal these objects and vanish without a trace. He again covered his tracks well by implanting another false memory into an innocent house elf, Hawkeye. Shortly after that, Tom murdered a random Muggle tramp and fled with the cup and the locket, turning them into 2 more Horcruxes, using the murders of Hepzibah and the Muggle. The Goblins family. During the Second Wizarding War, many feared the goblins would also join Voldemort like giants and dementors, as they were restricted from wand use, but it never happened, which led Voldemort to murder a family of goblins near Nottingham at some points during the war, probably for this reason. The Inferi. During the Second Wizarding War, Voldemort was known to have created an army of Inferi from the large number of people he murdered. He placed such an army within the lake of Salazar Slytherin's locket's hiding place. But some of the Inferi were the remains of wizards and witches who disappeared during the war without explanation. This could possibly include wizards from the Ministry, members of the Order that were never found, or just random unlucky witches and wizards. Marlene McKinnon and Dorcas Meadows. They were members of the Order of Phoenix who fought against the Dark Lord and his Death Eaters. The 2 were murdered by Voldemort himself in the course of the First Wizarding War. As for Marlene McKinnon, her family was wiped out completely by Voldemort and his Death Eaters. The Potters. When Voldemort heard about the first half of the prophecy, he targeted the Potters and their son. The Dark Lord traveled to the Godric's Hollow, and with the Potters' Fidelius charm broken, he simply walked into their home. Once inside, he proceeded to murder James and Lily, who didn't have their wands. When he used the killing curse on Harry, it rebounded and seemingly destroyed his body. This happened because Lily lovingly sacrificed her life to protect her son. After 11 years of domination and war, Voldemort was defeated for the first time. Professor Quirrell. At the end of Harry's school year, Voldemort finally moved forward with his goal, moving through the security barriers to the Mirror of Erised. When Harry arrived, Quirrell attacked Harry on Voldemort's orders. When he touched Harry, however, his hand blistered and burned. Harry placed his hand on Quirrell's face, severely injuring him. However, before Quirrell could harm Harry, Dumbledore appeared, and Voldemort's soul fled, killing Quirrell in the process. So Voldemort was the reason of Quirrell's death. Bertha Jorkins. When Voldemort went back to Albania, he waited for 2 years until his Death Eater Peter Pettigrew shows up. The two encountered Bertha Jorkins, Ministry of Magic employee. Voldemort was able to persuade and overpower her to do what he wants. Jorkins gave Voldemort many information he needed regarding the Ministry of Magic and the plan to host the Triwizard Tournament. But after getting what he wanted, Voldemort murdered Bertha and turned Nagini, the snake he met there, into his last Horcrux, believing his soul being in 7 pieces. Frank Brace. Voldemort and the two Death Eaters moved to the Riddle House for discussing their plans of bringing the Dark Lord back to his physical form. However, a Muggle caretaker of the Riddle House, Frank Brace, had been standing behind the door, eavesdropping on their plans. Voldemort invited him into the room, and after a short conversation, he killed him for overhearing their plan. Cedric Diggory. Cedric was another character who died by Voldemort for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Under Voldemort's orders, Peter murdered Cedric with the Killing Curse, just after finishing the 3rd task of the Triwizard Tournament. Emilia Bones. Due to Emilia Bones' anti-Voldemort activities, the Dark Lord himself dueled and killed her in her home. Emilia was the head of the Department of Magical Law Enforcement, who was described as having put up a good fight against him and as one of the greatest witches of the age. Charity Burbage. During the summer of 1997, Voldemort captured the Hogwarts Professor of Muggle Studies, Charity Burbage, and killed her during a meeting with his Death Eaters in Malfoy Manor before feeding her to Nagini. Alastor Moody. During the Battle of Seven Potters, Moody and Fletcher were heading north. Voldemort, using his ability to fly, went straight for them, as he believed Harry would be flying with the most skilled witch or wizard. Fletcher panicked and disapparated, leaving Moody vulnerable to attack. Voldemort fired the Killing Curse and hit Moody in the face. Moody fell backwards off his broom and down to the ground, and even if he survived the curse, Moody fell about 1,000 feet with no wand, making his death surely. Rufius Scrimgeour. Scrimgeour was captured and savagely tortured by Voldemort for information on Harry Potter's whereabouts. Rufius, having put up quite a fight in his final moments, refused to talk despite knowing where Harry was, which led Voldemort to murder him, but at least he died as a hero. Makio Grigorovich. Voldemort traveled to Germany to seek out the Wand Maker, Makio Grigorovich, and obtain the Elder Wand. Voldemort found him, but was informed that the wand had been stolen. Voldemort performed Legilimency on Grigorovich and saw the memory of a young blonde boy who stole the wand. Voldemort asked to know the identity of the boy, but when Grigorovich didn't know it, Voldemort then killed him. Bathilda Bagshot. Bathilda was the great aunt of Gellert Grindelwald. She lived in Godric's Hollow near the Dumbledore family. In 1997, Bathilda was very old, but she didn't die naturally. Voldemort got to her house and murdered her. Then he placed Nagini inside her rotting body to wait for Harry to return to Godric's Hollow, just the way Harry and Hermione did. Gellert Grindelwald. Now here there is a small problem. What happened in the movie is completely different than in the book. In the movie, Voldemort asked Grindelwald about the Elder Wand, which he replies that the wand is lying with him, of course, Dumbledore. But in the book, despite being unarmed and defenseless, Grindelwald refused to give up the location of the Elder Wand, calling Voldemort by name and mocking his desire for the wand. "Kill me then, you won't win. You cannot win. The wand will never ever be yours." Voldemort's fury exploded, thus he ended Grindelwald's life with the Killing Curse. Gringotts employees. When Voldemort was informed by Gringotts that a small golden cup had been stolen from Bellatrix's vault, he flew into a rage. Voldemort murdered all those who told him the news. Having realized at that point that Harry was hunting his Horcruxes, he even murdered the goblin Greyback while there. Severus Snape. When Voldemort investigated why the Elder Wand didn't work any differently from his old wand, He came to the conclusion that he needed to accept him as a master. He believed killing the former master would solve the problem by transferring mastery of the wand to himself. Voldemort then ordered his snake Nagini to kill Snape, assuming that since Snape killed Dumbledore, then he would be the current master of the wand. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.